All right, so today we're going to tackle a problem that pretty much every founding marketer runs into. How in the world do you build a competitive intelligence engine, a CI engine, that actually makes an impact, but you're starting from scratch with zero budget? So picture this. You've launched, things are starting to move, and then it happens. All of a sudden, you're hearing competitor names pop up on sales calls. You've got to get everyone on the same page, and you need to do it like yesterday. Well, here's the good news. You don't need some fancy, expensive tool or a huge budget. What you really need is a system. So in this explainer, we're going to build one together. A calm, credible intel system that delivers real value and, just as importantly, doesn't burn you out. Okay, let's dive into the problem itself. Because before we can even think about building a solution, we have to get real about the specific kind of chaos that we're dealing with in that early stage environment. This probably sounds familiar, right? You're a team of one, the budget is low, or maybe non-existent. The security team, and they're not wrong, is pretty hesitant to approve any new tools. And all your intel is really just a bunch of scattered anecdotes from Slack. There's no single source of truth. It's a recipe for reactive, totally inconsistent messaging. So how do we fix this? Well, the answer isn't to go beg for budget for some shiny new tool. Nope. The answer is to build a system, a repeatable loop that creates a sense of order out of all that chaos. Let's just compare the two paths for a second. That new vendor tool, it's going to require budget approvals, has a steep learning curve, and let's be honest, it often just ends up as unused shelfware. But a simple newsletter system, that can be shipped by just one person. It creates a repeatable weekly rhythm, its value is immediately obvious, and, this is the big one, it builds a compounding archive of knowledge. And this right here, this is the core philosophy. Say it with me. Systems beat tactics. Consistency beats complexity. A simple process that you can actually execute every single week is so much more powerful than some complex tool that you only use every once in a while. Now, these aren't just, motivational quotes to hang on your wall. Think of them as the actual design requirements for our system. We have to work with what we have. Our constraints? No budget, no team. Those aren't problems. That's our design brief. We have to look outside our own building for objective truth. And our number one goal is to create calm, not more chaotic noise. All right, enough theory, let's get practical. We're going to build the engine itself. This is the 8-step loop that's going to become your weekly operating rhythm. So here's the entire process, start to finish. We'll walk through it, but the key is the loop. You scope your audience, you find your sources, you log the raw intel, you score it, draft the newsletter, check it for quality, and then you send and archive every single week. This whole loop is designed to turn all that noise into a reusable asset. So where does all this intel actually come from? Well, it's a mix of two things. Your external sources are the public, verifiable facts. What your competitors are announcing on their websites. But your internal sources, that's the deal reality. What's actually being said on sales calls and in support tickets. You absolutely need both to get the full picture. This simple log right here is where you capture everything. Seriously, think of this as your raw material repository. You capture the date, the category, a quick summary, and, crucially, why it matters. Every single entry needs a source link. Just remember, the log is the raw material, the newsletter is the highlight reel. Okay, now we get to the fun part, the finished product. Let's break down the anatomy of a really good, credible weekly newsletter. The kind that people actually read and respect. A great issue is designed for different kinds of readers. You've got the too long, didn't read, or TLDR, which gives the skimmers the main points in just a few seconds. The key events table is for people who really need the details. The food for thought section gives practical advice to your sales team, and the trends section helps everybody connect the dots over time. And this right here is the heart of the newsletter, the key events table. It is structured for absolute clarity. Every single item has a date, a clear description, an explanation of why it matters to your team, and a direct link to the source. This is what makes it so powerful. It's not opinion, it's sourced intelligence. So, here's the most crucial point. Trust is your product. One sloppy issue can completely undo weeks of hard work. To protect that trust, you have to curate ruthlessly. Don't include everything. Always, always add that why it matters context, and lock your template so the format is consistent and predictable every single week. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Let's see how all this effort builds over time, Because this weekly task, it's about so much more than just an email. You're actually creating a strategic asset for the entire company. This is the key takeaway right here. The newsletter is the visible weekly output. But that searchable, growing archive of curated intel, that is the real asset. It becomes your company's market memory. And when you do this consistently, the benefits just start spreading across the whole company. Sales starts having stronger discovery calls. Product roadmap discussions are suddenly based on real market patterns, not just one-off anecdotes. And leadership, they get a calm, steady market radar, which means a whole lot fewer strategic surprises. So you've established the manual system, it's humming along, and it's working. Great. Where do you go from here? Well, the next step is to scale intelligently with automation, but without sacrificing any of the quality and trust that you've worked so hard to build. The roadmap is actually pretty straightforward. You start in phase 1, which is fully manual. Your value is all about consistency and your human judgment. Then in phase 2, you can start using AI to draft the initial report from public sources, but, and this is a big but, you still verify every single link and claim before you publish. Eventually, you get to phase 3, where an agent might monitor sources and prep the draft, leaving you with just one final crucial approval step. The goal is to automate the hard work, but always keep the human accountability. By following this system, you're not just sending emails. You are building a database of market reality, one that can fuel battle cards, messaging, and strategic planning for years to come. So once your Intel archive is built, what powerful asset are you going to create next?